What is up, you guys? Glitchiz here, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to be bringing you a revamped build of my Glitchiz PvP base. I'm a man of my word. I always say that I take all of your guys' feedback into consideration down in the comments, and after going through everything that all of you said, especially those hardcore PvPers in yesterday's video, there was some feedback that I actually really liked that were pretty good ideas to enhance my build and make it even better. So I wanted to rebuild it once again and kind of fine tune it and try and min max the most structure points that I could in the actual game to get a very in-depth idea of what I could pull off with the points that were allowed. It's kind of hard to tell when you're building an Eternal Land how many structure points you've used. And once I took the build that I previously had and built it in the real world, I realized that I was barely using anything. So there was a ton of leftover points that I was able to put towards this base to make it even better. And I wanted to show off those updates in today's video. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. So the first thing that was pretty major that a lot of people commented on was 99.9% of the time, people aren't even going to go for the main walls. They're just going to shoot your foundations and try and drop the base as fast as possible. And with the previous build, it had a lot of honeycombing, but the footprint of it at the bottom floor was still pretty small. So with a lot of the extra structure points that I had, if we go into build mode here and flight, you'll notice that now we have these additional outcroppings that are all interconnected and add about 2 to 3 extra foundations deep worth of defense that wrap all the way around the base in almost like this fan pattern. They overlap each other, and not only do they add more defense, but they act as platforms for my turrets now. So we've got turrets all the way around on all sides, which is super handy. Again, if you're putting this up against a mountain cliff or something like that, where you're protected from one side, you can easily move some of these turrets over to the front and just delete one of these little fan blades and kind of tuck it up closer to a wall. So that's one thing you can do there for some more defense. But as of right now, it's set up to where you'd be perfect right on flat ground. But yeah, even distribution of turrets all around the outside perimeter of the base with, again, added structures to the foundations to expand it out further, just to give it more stability and add more points of damage that enemies are going to have to blast through before they can get to the key foundation structures that are required to take down the base itself. So that was the first major update. The other major update as we work our way up is we now have honeycombed walls all the way to the roof. In the previous build, it only went up 2 stories, and then the balcony was basically right on the second floor, with the third floor territory being about the same width as this here, all the way to the roof. Which meant that if someone hovered up with a drone or was able to glide down from the top and land on that balcony at the very least, they were basically skipping almost 2 to 3 walls deep worth of defensive structures to get to that center core. So I wanted to make sure in this updated build that the floor that had the containment units that we have to protect, I wanted to make sure that that particular floor had honeycombing defenses all the way around it on all sides as well. So those extra honeycombed walls now are up a whole nother level, up all the way up to the 3rd floor. So that's a total of 8 walls thick that go all the way around the base, leading to the core room that people have to try and get to. So that was another big update. I removed that balcony in exchange for some cool scouting tower stuff that we're going to show off here in a minute, and some extra walls for defenses are on the outside. On top of that, the next big thing was the only access we had for basically shooting off the balcony was a teleporter that was on the 3rd floor of the base, which meant if you were going from the bottom door and you wanted to get up to the scouting area quickly, you still had to run through all of those mazes and snaking doorways to get to the top. Now I have changed it to where I have a teleporter right on the roof and a teleporter on the bottom floor. So the second you run through the front door, you're going to be able to do a wall glitch to just instantly teleport to the center if you're a person that is in the hive or owns the base. Normal enemies won't be able to do that. They'll still have to blast their way through. So that'll be a lot quicker for players to get to the scouting area and get to high ground now, which I'll show off here in a minute. So that was the other big update. The next big update is we obviously still wanted a scouting area from high ground, and because we raised these platforms, we no longer had the balcony. So in exchange for the balcony, we now have this cool little scout tower, and that wraps full 360 degrees around the entire roof of the base now. And you can run up these walls just like any other platform, and they're the same 3,200 points of HP as any other normal wall. So they're still pretty strong if you're using concrete. And because they stick out past the bottom foundation and have windows, you don't have to worry about falling off the edge. If you're standing on the edge to shoot down at people that are right below you, you can literally just stand kind of head glitch by the window and look straight down and see every enemy that's going to be coming up to your base on all directions across all sides of the base. So that's the cool update that we did for the basically shooting platform. Now we have a 360 degree basically barricade that you can run up and shoot down from all angles. The other update is the roof itself. A lot of people mentioned in the comments that, oh, the biggest flaw of this base is obviously you can get into the roof, which I know I said that that was going to be the biggest weakness in the previous video. People probably didn't listen to my explanation that if you wanted to add more half walls, you could. But to save people the time and the confusion, I went ahead and did it this time around just to make sure. And that means that we have not one, but 2 and 3 roofs high of added ceiling tiles. So that now the basically securement container room is almost dead center of the base, whereas before it was closer to the top. So now we have an equal amount of defense blasting from the bottom and an equal amount of defense if they were blasting from the top. It's kind of dead center in the base now. So it's going to take just as long regardless if you're gliding in from above or blasting in from below. So that's the other big update. The other little thing that I changed that some people noticed is when I destroyed the ceiling tile on the build in Eternal Land, I didn't have any honeycombing in between those layers. So as soon as you killed the ceiling tile, you could immediately drop down to the next one. But now all of these basically roofing tiles have honeycombing underneath them as well. So they would have to potentially blast through all those secondary in between walls too. And that's 1, 2, 3 layers deep. So that's going to take a ton of extra time for them to get to the main center room if they're coming from above. But because we have it set up this way now with the teleporter leading right to the roof, ideally, 90% of the time, if you're defending the base, you're going to be up here anyways. So if any enemy tries to get in or glide in, there's probably going to be 1 or 2 of either you or your hive mates already up here defending it. And on top of defending it yourself, we also have 2 additional shotgun turrets that are going to be active, just scouting the perimeter and circling around, notifying you if an enemy's gliding in anyway. So you're going to get an early warning, I guess you could say. And these will just help you take down players even more quickly as well. So that was another big update. Instead of having that teleporter on the bottom floor, we have it right on the top floor, and you can just instantly teleport to high ground and start shooting right away. So that was just a quality of life thing. Let's go ahead and add these back. Of course, there's a little thing in the way. But that is the new and improved roof, again, with double walling. So we have more horizontal defenses as well. It kind of worked out perfectly with the small staircases. I was like, if you teleport to the roof and then drop down, because this is more than 1 wall height high, you won't be able to just manually grab and mantle. And if you're on the bottom, I didn't want to have one big staircase on only one side to get back to the roof if you needed to go through that teleporter again. And I found out that with how we had it set up, the small staircases perfectly kind of kitty cornered into each of these little nooks that we had as little hiding cubbies before. And now instead, because we have defenses on the outside, we don't have to worry about ducking behind cover. So I turned them into little stairwells now as well. So we have on every single side an entryway to get back on top of the roof and go through the teleporter if you need to. And that wraps all the way around. So we've got rooftop entrances to quickly go up and down levels. So that is the new and improved scouting tower feature. So that is all the features that we added to the outside borders of the base. Now let's go through and show what I updated on the inside. So as you can see, we still have all the doorways in here. What's going to happen is I'm going to delete all these open door frames, and for the final build, these are all going to be just solid walls and more solid honeycombing, because another thing that you guys mentioned is if you own the base or are a member of the same hive, you can just do the teleportation glitch where you just go right through a wall and then walk into the next room. So that is why I have the teleporter in the dead center on the bottom floor. So that way, if you want to get in quickly, You, as the owner of the base, can do that trick and get through the wall, while the enemy cannot. They're still going to have to blast their way through. That is going to be one thing that's changed. All of these doorways are going to be solid walls now, and you can just instantly walk through and get to the teleporter on your own. But in terms of defenses, I got rid of a bunch of the turrets and replaced them with traps. A few of you mentioned that things like fire traps are AoE and can actually damage enemies through walls. So I exchanged some of the turrets in exchange for level 3 fire traps. This one in particular is going to be waiting for enemies right inside the first room once they come into the first dead end. That will just be AoEing enemies in a big radius as soon as they walk into here. Once they blast their way around or go through the middle to where the stairwell is, they still have a somewhat decent kill room with a level 3 shotgun turret and another level 3 fire trap to do AoE damage. Now, obviously, with fire, you're going to have to roll to remove the burn effect. So if an enemy wants to go up the stairs, they're first going to have to roll all over the place and try and put themselves out from the fire trap, which is going to stall them even more. And if you saw the previous video, you already know that this stairwell is really annoying. So that's just going to delay them even more. But once we get up these stairs, this is similar to how it was before, only once we get to the top now and go through the door, instead of another turret, we have reinforced honeycombing as well. Normally this wall was knocked out last time to fit a turret. I swapped that turret out for another AoE fire trap. All these doors are going to be solid walls, so they won't be able to go anywhere. They have to like blast through it. So this is all going to be solid walls with more health and just more traps to keep them burning along the way. Same thing, going through the doorways leading to the second stairwell with more level 3 turrets. That I wanted to originally put a flamethrower turret. However, the flamethrower turrets are stationary and they can only fire in one direction. They are handy, but if an enemy timed it properly and rolled past and managed to get to the stairs, a flame turret wouldn't be able to hit them, whereas a shotgun turret can rotate, so they'll get hit by this the second they come through the wall, and potentially still get hit when they're panicking on the stairwell because the turret is in perfect line of sight of it. So that's the reason why I left the turret there. Still remove the head glitch with that little triangle shape so they can't mantle over. You're forced to basically crouch and go all the way up this stairwell. And then once they get to the top, again, these doorways are all going to be solid walls once again. So they're going to have to blast their way through all of these, either through the middle or through the outside perimeter. This is going to be the quickest way. And then once they get to the top, around the backside, this is where the final room would be. And then again, instead of a turret here, I'm going to have another AoE fire trap. And this is where we would have all of our generators, the territory terminal, and the securement containers for the prism deviations. This is the end-all, be-all final room. Only difference is now it's way more defended. We've got probably 8 walls thick going in any direction horizontally, and then we've got 2 to 3 floors below us with ceiling tiles that have to get destroyed, and now 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 tiles deep from the roof to get through to the center core because we added extra layers on the roof. So this particular room now lies almost dead center of the base, whereas before it was closer to the top. So you've got equal defenses above, below, and all 360 degrees around the outsides now too. So it's going to be very, very difficult to get to this room and just really annoying. So that is the new and improved design. Much better scouting tower for the top high ground. Much better, wider footprint foundations for the base. Better honeycombing all the way throughout. We're not going to worry about doors anymore. We can just use the teleport glitch through walls because we own the base. We can actually see the turrets now. We've got the traps set up everywhere. So all around, I think it's definitely a better design. And again, I appreciate all of you guys' feedback that you responded to in the comments. It definitely made the build even better in my opinion. So this is probably the one in the next video I make that I'll go over the tutorial for. Hopefully you guys like it and enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to smash that like button, comment down below. Again, I always appreciate your guys' feedback. And also, if you want to keep up to date on all my future content, consider subscribing and turn on that notification bell. And then last but not least, if you want to join a killer community of like-minded gamers, feel free to check the links down in the description and join us on the Discord. We've got over 1,000 members in there now, many of which are playing Once Human. So hopefully you jump in and we see you guys around here soon. But until the next one, hope everyone has a great day, and we'll see you all later.